Thanks, doctor. Up next, we have Dawn. Dawn, if you'd go ahead and unmute. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. And hi, Dr. McDougall. I'm fairly new to the plant-based eating at a recommendation of my cardiologist. I'm also in a nutrition group, and about every 6 months or so, we pick a new book to read. And we happen to be reading your book right now on the starch solution.
Oh, good.
My concern, and so thank you for all the information. I'm certainly learning a lot there and here. My question for you on a personal level is around insulin resistance, right? So I'm insulin resistant for years, tested by blood and all sorts of, other symptoms and things. And I'm apprehensive to jump in and do the McDougall diet. I'd like to. What would be the concerns or risks? And, when should I test whether or not this is good, bad? I mean, sure, I could be losing weight, but how do I know what's happening with my insulin and my glucose, et cetera? So if you could maybe share a little bit about insulin resistance and eating the starch that, I'm told by the endocrinologist, stay away from.
Okay. The cure rate with weight loss, and our diet is the most effective permanent way to lose weight. The cure rate for type 2 diabetes is 100%. Okay. I say this based upon bariatric surgery studies that were published in the New England Journal of Medicine about 20 years ago, which showed at least 80% of people were cured of their type 2 diabetes simply by rearranging their intestinal tract through bariatric surgery. By definition, type 2 diabetes is due to diet. So you fix the diet, it's 100% curable. Now, as far as developing insulin, let me tell you, our experience is that if it's truly a type 2 diabetic, we take them off all their pills, all their insulin, day one. Okay, if they're not truly just a type 2 diabetic, then we do a little bit of different approach. And type 1 diabetics, of course, have to always take insulin. But, you have misinformation. You have information that guarantees you'll always remain a diabetic because you're taught exactly the opposite of what you're supposed to be taught to eat well. Insulin resistance, I'll just go shortly on that. I could spend hours talking to you about diabetes. Is one of my favorite things to talk about. We take care of a lot of people with diabetes at the clinic, which reminds me, I think that's the best thing for you to do, is to join our 12-day internet program, because you need some help. You need not only education, you need your doctor taking care of you, and you'll have a doctor taking care of you. During our 12-day program, you'll have not only a doctor taking care of you all day long, if necessary, but we have support people that start out with you in the morning, get your blood tests, find out what your blood sugar is, and make sure you're doing well, go over what you're going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that day. You're all set up for education meetings. It's a big deal, but extremely effective. And we were able to cut the cost by about in 1/3 of what we used to charge you when you came to the residential program. So anyway, that's what I would encourage you to do. As far as insulin resistance goes, there's a reason you develop. It's normal to develop insulin resistance. It's a survival mechanism to develop insulin resistance. What happens when you overeat? You gain a certain amount of weight. And then it becomes a survival disadvantage to gain more weight. Say you gain 30, 40 pounds, that's good. But you got to climb up that tree to get away from that saber tiger. You got to be able to get in that little tiny cave hole to get away from the other beast. So being really big ain't so good, right? So what the body does is it develops insulin resistance. Insulin drives fat into fat cells. As you become fatter, people become more insulin resistant. And the way you cure insulin resistance is you lose the weight. Now, it's kind of an interesting bunch of patients I've taken care of during my long career, 12,000 people. And that's taking care of really big people. And I've taken care of people that have been 600, 800 pounds. That's a whole different situation. That's where people do not develop insulin resistance. Okay, the normal person, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, that's enough. Then your insulin doesn't work so good. You're not going to gain any more weight. There are people who don't develop insulin resistance. They keep shoving it in. And they're pretty healthy people. Surprise you. And the ones that I can think of, they didn't have high blood pressure. They didn't have diabetes. Oh, they had bad joints of the lower extremities. Sure they did. All that weight. But they didn't have the diseases associated with insulin resistance. So anyway, I hope I've I've shared with you the fact that the body normally develops insulin resistance as a survival mechanism, so you don't end up 100 pounds overweight, can't climb up the tree. And it goes away 100% of the time when you lose the weight. 100% of the time, type 2 diabetes is curable. And you need some help. Hey, we would love to help you, and you'd consider it the best time and money you ever spent. So go to my website, drmcdougall.com. That's what I think.
Thank you, doctor. Up next, we have David. David, if you go ahead and unmute yourself now for Dr. McDougall. Actually, it looks like we skipped over to, yeah, we're looking for David A. David A, if you'd go ahead. And,
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, how you doing? And thank you so much, Dr. McDougall. I have two quick questions. One is, would you recommend for cooking potatoes, we steam them? Otherwise, if you bake them, you could have acrylamides. And second, what do you think of rutabagas as far as eating those compared to potatoes?
Yeah, I don't know about rutabagas because they've never been a part of my diet, but as long as they have enough calories in them, they'd be a great food. You don't want to get yourself a vegetable that is deficient in calories and won't satisfy your hunger drive. Just recall, populations of people who lived on starch-based diets. Before 1980, there were 2 billion Asians and none of them were overweight. You know, I'm old enough to have remembered the Vietnamese conflict. And we watched newsreels of town meetings where there'd be 100,000 Vietnamese in a town meeting. Nobody was overweight. Any population of people that you look at who are on a starch-based diet based on potatoes, rice, or corn, or nobody is overweight. So you've got to get those calories in, those starchy calories. So I don't know how many. Mary, do rutabagas have a lot of starchy calories? Rutabagas?
Yeah, I would think so.
I think so. Mary says she thinks they've got lots of calories. Yeah, they are a root vegetable. Anyway, yeah, I would say your concern for acrylamide, I think it's more theoretical than an actual concern, but you're right about not cooking things over 240 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course, boiling is 212. Yeah, so to be on the safe side with acrylamide, you'd want to boil as opposed to bake. But you know what? We don't do it. We bake our potatoes, we cook them. The acrylamide issue, and that's a combination, it's a Maillard reaction. M-I-L-L-A-R-D, I think, Maillard reaction. It's a combination of a sugar and a protein and produces something that may cause cancer. But in population studies, we don't see that based upon what people eat. And it's mostly, again, I don't want to totally discount it because there's so many things I don't really know enough about. But I would just tell you that, I haven't been that cautious about acrylamide formation.